I'm proud to be partnering with my very good friend Lee Greenwood. Who doesn't love his song, God Bless the USA? Religion and Christianity are the biggest things missing from this country. All Americans need a Bible in their home, and I have many. It's my favorite book. I think you all should get a copy of God Bless the USA Bible now and help spread our Christian values. Let's make America pray again.
Wait, let me do one more thing. Let me show you how much he knows about the Bible. This is him asked by our friend John Heilman.
When I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into...
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that you like?
No, I don't want to do that.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal.
Equal.
Yeah. You know, he says it's his favorite book, but we also know that he kept speeches of Adolf Hitler at his bedside some time ago. Which
probably equal.
Equal, right? Equal weight. You know, it's fascinating to me because, you know, he's selling sneakers, which Black Twitter called Treason Ones, which is phenomenal. He's selling this Bible, and, you know, I would check it to make sure that the verses are what they're supposed to be, because they could be his propaganda hidden in those pages. He'll be selling his bathwater next, and the hems of his garments. And we've seen this before. This is why, you know, a lot of the conversation in our first segment is really important, because when we were talking about the big lie, and I would say, you know, think about it as a big conspiracy, because it takes a lot of money and a lot of patience to get everybody on message and coordinated to talk about this thing in the same way, to send people to the home of a Ruby Bridges, right, to intimidate her. And what he's doing now, again, we've seen before, because it mimics the behavior of a televangelist. He's a political televangelist. And if we think about the population that is just so stubbornly and significantly for him as, you know, akin to a religious fervor, then this makes sense. To Tim's point, where they're funding his lifestyle. And that is really incumbent upon all of us in the Biden administration campaign to just call that out of it. Every time you see him playing golf, the voters are funding that, thinking they're sending him to the White House, but they're actually sending him to the golf course every single time. And hopefully you wrest some of that attention away from him and then focus the public on the issues that really matter. But this is what, you know, this is a political televangelist getting people to support his lifestyle.
But I think this is part of the first conversation because this is also a fraud. I mean, if he were selling waterbeds or condoms, fine, right? I mean, he said that the greatest risk he'd taken was, I think, being sexually active in the 80s or so. I mean, this has nothing to do with Donald Trump. The Bible he held upside down at Lafayette Square told us so. So I think this is also part of the lie he is propagating on his base.
Yeah, and, you know, you made a great point earlier about how he monetizes those lies, right? He monetizes everything. And just think about all of the buildings that have his name on it. He didn't build those buildings. He just got somebody to pay him to put his name on it. So when you actually go through and just look at how paper thin his record is, how paper thin his entire life has been, really, and what he sold to voters, it is perpetrating this massive fraud that I do believe voters are starting to come, some voters are starting to come away from.
Tim, I made myself stop asking the questions about whether there's, you know, a bridge too far for anyone in his base. There obviously isn't. But at a moment when he's more politically exposed, right, along with the legal exposure comes some political exposure. You've now got a vocal group, and I know you were sort of face-to-face with some of these voters of Republicans who will not vote for him again. Is there an audacity limit, you think, for those that haven't made that leap yet to say no more, no mas?
Yeah, look, the more Trump is in people's face, the less they like him. I think that has been part of the story of the poll numbers, right? On the margins, the more you see about the more Trump has benefited somewhat from being off of the radar, from being only on Truth Social. I hate calling it that, you know, because a lot of regular people are going about their lives and aren't being reminded why they don't like him so much. And so I do think things like this that are very mockable, that can go viral, you know, might just be one little brick as part of a large wall so to speak, of bricks that are going to be needed to remind people they don't want this person again. This person is a scam artist. This person is sacrilegious. And hopefully they're religious folks. And I think this is where you could turn to people like Russell Moore, people with credibility in the religious community who can speak out. I mean, like, this is sacrilegious. Can we say that? It's mockable. Like, he should be mocked. It seems like a parody. It seems like an SNL skit. But it also is it's fundamentally sacrilegious. Like the American flag woven into the Bible. America doesn't have anything to do with Jesus, right? Putting some country singer's lyrics inside the Bible, like this is not, I'm not maybe the best messenger for this as a secular gay man, but I do think that there are a handful, maybe not as many as we wish, of genuine Christian leaders out there, Pete Wehner, David French, Russell Moore, who have spoken out and whose voices really should be elevated about this. And, can you get 1% of faithful Christians, 2% of faithful Christians to start to get turned off by this? I don't think that's crazy. I think that's possible, and that there should be an effort to do it.
Tim just said something really intriguing that I've been noodling with off TV, but I'll put it out there. I mean, being deplatformed has benefited him politically. And if this election is a referendum on whether we remain a democracy, there's one guy who wants to end it, and it's Trump. Should we see and hear more of him?
I think this is going to be a long campaign. It's 8 months, and I think he's going to be sorely tested multiple times, again and again, between now and November, because I don't think he has the wherewithal or the discipline not to routinely reveal himself for what he is. Those Bibles he's selling them for $60 a piece. So I guess you could sell 8 million of them and it would settle his $454 million court judgment that he's scrambling to avoid. The reality is he's never been religious. He doesn't care about religion. I spoke with him when I was working on my book a number of times, and he openly said, well, I sort of believe in God, but I don't really care about any of it. And he played this during his first administration. Remember, he stood on the White House lawn at one point. It was around the time that he was talking about possibly buying Greenland. And he described himself as the chosen one. And he was engaging in back and forths on social with Wayne Allen Root, one of these evangelicals who mix business and faith in one basket, and says that Jesus is the CEO of Christianity. To follow up on Tim Miller's point, this is sacrilegious. It's blasphemous. And he is using people's religious and spiritual devotion to feather his nest and play on their need to have a messianic figure telling them in a complex world there are easy solutions and you can solve them by being a racist or being a thug on immigration, or selling a bill of goods to your electorate, or picking their pockets for money. And then you can get away with it because you're the Messiah. And it's interesting that he's doing this, obviously. It's Easter week. And he's also presenting himself as someone who has been persecuted, just like Jesus Christ. He says it every time he's, in a courtroom setting, he's being persecuted. So he knows the strings he's playing, but it's a measure of utterly craven and debased he is as an individual, apart from this absolutely cartoonish approach he has to Bible sales.
I'll give Liz Cheney the last word. She had quite the clap back. Happy Holy Week, Donald. Instead of selling Bibles, you should probably buy one and read it, including Exodus 20:14. If you don't know, it refers to thou shalt not commit adultery.
Hey, everyone. MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.